Hello, it's Starfire Hearts, and I'm going to show you how to make bedding for Mckenna's loft bed. The first thing you're going to do is take a tape measure and measure lengthwise and the width. And don't forget to measure the sides. For fabric, I'm using flannel. I got a yard of each. I got a solid purple and then a fun print. Start by ironing your fabric. I'm going to start by making the mattress. To make the mattress thick, I'm going to make sides around it. Start by measuring out 2 large pieces, which will be your base. Make sure to add 1 inch to your measurements for a seam allowance. Now that I have 2 of my pieces cut out, my base pieces, I'm going to make the sides. To make the sides, you're going to take the same measurement as you did for this piece and just make it whatever measurement, adding 1 inch that your width was. Do the same for the long side. Now, taking your 2 width pieces, lay it across the bottom and the top, and sew 1/4 of 1 inch along the seam. Make sure these are right sides together. Next, pin and sew the sides as you did for these, making sure right sides together. Next, take and match up the side seams and sew at 1/4 of 1 inch. Once you have all your sides together, take your next bottom piece and match it up each corner to corner. Pin and then sew all around, leaving one side open. When you're done, flip it out with one side open. Next, stuff. Folding in the hem, pin it and sew along the bottom. And you're done! To make the blanket, measure out whatever length you want it to be and whatever width you want it to be. Make sure to add seam allowance. Cut 2 pieces of that in your fun pattern and your solid. This stuff is optional. You can use the fusible fleece to make it more thick, like a real blanket. Just simply take your piece you've already cut out of the flannel and cut around it. I cut 2 so that it would be extra thick. Next, having your iron on the dry setting, take and put your fabric right side down and place the side, which is rough and bumpy, of the fusible fleece onto the wrong side of your fabric. Then, according to the manufacturer's instructions, place the iron on and let it and hold it for a few seconds, about 15 or 20. Do the same to your other piece. Now, with right sides together, sew around 3 of the edges, leaving one side open. When you're done, clip the corners, making sure not to go through the seam. Turn it right side out. Now iron it flat. Now, fold the open side seam stitch in. Iron it flat, and then you're going to sew it. You can either blind stitch it or just machine sew it. If you decide to machine sew it, just go ahead and follow a 1/4 of an inch or a 5/8 of an inch, depending on how big your seam was that you tucked in. When you're doing it by machine, if you don't want that funny just one awkward seam on the outside, go all the way around following the exact same seam allowance. Go around the entire piece, and then you can do a double one if you like in this further in. Once you have sewn around, then you're done with the blanket. For pillows, I cut out 2 6.5 by 10-inch pieces of fabric. To make the pillows, simply fold it in half lengthwise and sew along 2 of the openings, leaving one side completely open. Next, turn right side out, stuff, fold in the open edge, pin, and sew. Do the same to the next one, and you're done with the pillows. To make a chair pad, first measure your chair. I have a tutorial on how to make the actual chair in my How to Make Mckenna's Loft Bed video. First, measure the seat as you usually would and add 1 inch both ways. Cut out 2 of your measurements and also 2 of the same measurements of fusible fleece. Fuse. Also, measure around your chair from about 1 inch in to around the back and about 1 inch in also. If you have a chair with a back like this, then this is what you'll do, but if you have like a wire chair, then you'll just measure around like 1 inch from and then around one of the wires. Add 4 inches to your measurement, whatever that may be. I have my lengthwise cut out. Now measure 2 inches widthwise. Next, fold in a little bit of one edge on both pieces and iron it. Just so you know, we are kind of making a bias tape, if you know what that is. With the side that you folded in, the raw side, fold it in half. Then iron it so it should look like this and have a fine crease. Open it up and fold in the edges to the crease and iron that way too. And then once you're done with that, ironing that way, then fold in the other side to the crease. Fold that in half and iron, and then stitch along the bottom side where it's folded. Stitch along it. Make sure to back stitch. Take the edge where you don't have it folded in and sort of just get the idea of where you're going to put it, like where is it going to go. So, because if it's going to go all the way around, you don't want to have it here and then it be like weird. So you're going to mark it on the edge, sort of like this. Now take and place it where you want it. I recommend at least 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch from the seam, and place it there, and put your right sides together of your other piece, lay it on top, and pin these in place And when you're going to sew, you're going to use your seam allowance, and then it's going to go around like this. But when you sew, leave one side open. When you're done with that, turn it right side out. Then iron it. Then fold it in and pin it, and then you're going to sew along, and you can go around. And you're done. And now you're done with all the batting. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.